EP Magazine's annual Summer Fun issue has articles that focuses on fun activities, as well as helping reduce or avoid academic or behavioral regression over the summer. The disruption of familiar routines, environments, and limited access to school-based and other support services can be difficult for some children, especially those with special needs. Read it today at www.epmagazine.com.
Oscar Mike Radio is a proud podcast partner of Reach Across America Radio, heard every Thursday at 11 a.m. and Sunday at 8 a.m. Eastern. They're also big supporters of the nonprofit I Got Your Six, Two Lives at Once. And with every wreath you sponsor through Oscar Mike Radio, $5 goes back to this great organization dedicated to making a difference in the lives of veterans, law enforcement, firefighters, and first responders battling PTSD. Two Lives at Once pairs these brave men and women together with dogs rescued from kill shelters. In this way, two lives are saved at the same time by saving each other. Donate now. Go to reachacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio to help. That's reachacrossamerica.org/Oscar Mike Radio.
Suicide is preventable, and each of us has a role to play in suicide prevention.
Suicide is complex. There is no single cause.
And it's not always a mental health issue. It could be loss of a job or home, financial or relationship issues, pain, or leaving the military.
Suicide does not discriminate. It affects all ages, races, and genders, veterans or not.
If you know a veteran who is struggling, connect with them. Let them know help is available.
There is quick and easy access to services in times of crisis.
Dial 988, then press 1. Talking about it is okay.
Don't keep it inside. Don't be ashamed. Don't wait. Reach out.
Find resources at va.gov/reach.
Hello and welcome again to Oscar Mike Radio. My name is Travis. I'm your host. Oscar Mike Radio is part of the Hubazoo Network. You can find out more on hubazoo.com. I want to thank my sponsors, Joyce Asek of Asek Real Estate, Army National Guard veteran Mark Holmes of Reapers Detailing in Power Washing, and my supporters, Caisson Shaving Company and Exceptional Parent Magazine. So you're watching this. This is like birthday week, birthday time for Oscar Mike Radio. We're turning 8. I can't believe this has been 8 years and over 400 shows. And I've got a special, like heavily loaded show for you tonight. This is a, well, to me anyway, it's a local nonprofit here in the greater Boston area. They have been around for quite some time and they're doing great things here and across the nation. I want to welcome David and Stacey to Oscar Mike Radio from 22 Mohawks. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Travis. Happy birthday, my friend.
Awesome. So Stacey, we got connected through Michael Geary of Hellfish Haven, and it was like a really cool time on We Are Resilient. We Are War. Thank you, 40 Mikes, we call Mikey. And I'm like, I want to have them on to like get the full skinny, the full story, all the deets we couldn't get in the time we had. So just again, thanks for coming on. David, you're the founder of 22 Mohawks. You served in the Army. And I like to ask veterans who, serve and then get out, like what was their service experience like, serving in the Army and then getting out and then getting to what you're into now and what you do?
Yeah. I mean, well, I served 16 years, did time in the infantry, deployed overseas, and then was deployed with the 10th Mountain Division, jumped with the 82nd Airborne Division, and finished my time with JFK Special Warfare Course at School of Bragg. Went through most of the Q course, and I ended up hurting myself, getting medically discharged in 2016. And before I got discharged, I kind of had my targets in place, so I knew I wanted to go back to school, get a degree, and then make $1 million, the American dream. And it was great. It was going smooth for a while there. Got a degree in finance, got all my trading licenses, got a job with a wealth management firm. And then after about like 3 years, I started to notice, that I had high anxiety, wasn't sleeping, was having nightmares. So it kind of like took time to for that whole like PTSD thing they talk about to kind of like hit me. And I was like, shit, I think I got something going on. Have panic attacks and stuff, and then started to see the VA. So the transition was kind of interesting. But that kind of made me just overwork myself. Like a lot of people some people drink, some people will take drugs, but I work a lot. And that's kind of how, I live my life. I work a lot. Stacey sees it. Stacey works right next to me. So the transition, to answer your question, Travis, not to be long-winded, was it was good in the beginning because I was motivated. And then I kind of took a turn, and now it's kind of back in the up and ups.
Okay, so and you're a work in progress like we all are. So, very, very
Yeah.
interesting. Stacey, again, we talked on, We Are Resilient, We Are War with Michael Geary. You talked about, how you got into the space and the reason behind it. And I'd just like to kind of revisit that again for people who are seeing you for the first time. You did not serve, as I understand it, but you were heavily involved for veterans advocacy.
Yep. So Dave and I went to junior high and high school together in Norwood, and I had stayed in contact with him throughout the years. My father was a veteran. He served in the Coast Guard, and in 2009, he died by suicide. So, that was a part of my life. I really didn't know too many other people that had, anybody that had died by suicide. There was a girl I went to high school with. Her dad actually had died by suicide. And when Dave started posting about, we'd stay connected on social media, but when he started posting about doing 22 Mohawks, and it was like he did an action item, he was like, get a Mohawk and I will donate some money to a larger organization for veteran suicide prevention. And I had short hair at the time, so I was like, all right, I can do that, So obviously I got a Mohawk and joined in on him, and we just kind of started doing different things together. I had always done like event planning and different things like that, so I kind of just fell into this, and we've been rocking and rolling ever since.
Everybody always asks me, Stacey and David, why 22 Mohawks? And for me, I'd have to grow one somehow. I don't know how it would look, but I could make it work. But where did the idea of the Mohawk come from?
Yeah. So, are you familiar with the Ice Bucket Challenge, Travis?
Oh yeah, dump a bunch of cold water on yourself and raise money for ALS. Yeah, that was I got into
That's
that.
right.
Yes.
That's right. When I lost my friend John Hatfield to suicide, it kind of hit hard. So I was trying to think of a way to create an action item where people would do something for suicide awareness, right? So, I shaved a Mohawk into my head and was like, yep, if you got a Mohawk for suicide awareness and prevention and post it on social media, I'll donate money to a large organization. So the Mohawk represents like an action item / the veteran. I mean, growing up, if I saw somebody with a Mohawk, I thought they were like a punk rocker, or a criminal, one of the two. So it almost represents a veteran, right? Because when people hear veteran, they're like, oh, this person's he's got PTSD or something, at least like the standard civilian does, right? So like it kind of goes hand in hand with the stigma, the veteran, and then just, the awareness piece.
You take this idea of the 22 Mohawks and now grow it into a nonprofit. You stand up a nonprofit, you get it going. And what I remember first was not so much the Mohawks, but you did events. You were really big on that. There was the parachute events, and then the dogs. And it seems like over time you all have, I wouldn't say changed your mission focus. Certainly you have not, but you certainly evolved into more than what you are now. So, how's that happened? Because a lot of nonprofits can kind of stay stuck in first gear. They can never really get going, or, they have a hard time staying true to their purpose. But your purpose hasn't waned, but you're serving in different areas. And Stacey, I'm just kind of curious, was that intentional or did it just happen organically?
So I think it happened organically, but I think there's a lot of work that Dave puts into the back end of the nonprofit and running things. He had just finished up his master's in doing different things that educating, and he's a financial advisor. So having all those pieces in place, I think is huge. I think so many people have great ideas and they get their foot going and they're out there doing it. They're boots on the ground. They're doing great things, but it's really all that back end work to strategically put into place to keep things running.
So, David, it's all about preparation first and getting all the logistical assets in place first.
Yeah. I mean, so like the idea with the dog and the parachuting was like, I love my dog. So if I love my dog and I have no emotions, then I'm sure we get a dog for a veteran that's emotionless, then he's going to love his dog, take care of his dog, create purpose. Parachuting, like we're all thrill seekers, right? We like to get our heart rates elevated pretty high and run into the sound of gunfire, right? Or parachute out of planes. So that was kind of another idea, bring people together with dogs, bring people together with parachuting. But what happened was that connection with people, it built that trust, and those veterans when they were in a crisis or had a moment and needed a shoulder, they would call Dave or Stacey. And a few times it was a crisis. Like these vets were in crisis. They were vets that we gave dogs to and parachuting with us. They knew that they could call us. And I remember my first phone call from a vet, and I was like, shoot, I don't have much training on how to handle this. So I'm like, we gotta train. I have to train myself because as vets and as military people, we train all the time. So we created the QPR school and the CISM school where we didn't create QPR, but we opened up the doors to, bring people in to get them trained as QPR instructors, which is question, persuade, refer, which is your suicide prevention course. And then CISM, which is crisis intervention stress management school. So that kind of segued us into the mental health side, where we have a trained team of people that can teach the community the signs to look for suicide prevention and how to deliberately act when someone is in a crisis. And that's kind of how we've organically grown. So that's kind of our three services: is dog training, parachuting, the retreat, and then the mental health side of the house.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of dig in the mental health side because one thing I'm seeing from the VA is the VA Saves program. I didn't know if you knew anything about that, David, where for the first time the VA is saying, hey, here are some best practices to deal with somebody in a suicidal crisis, or if you're trying to help somebody. And it seems like finally the VA is starting to put forth some real resources into that. Nothing wrong with CISM. I'm familiar with that. But I just didn't know if you were aware of what the VA was doing and what your thoughts were on that.
Yeah, I do remember reading about it, but I'm not super familiar with the SAVE program. But they do put out a lot of good programs. The problem with the VA is that no one knows about it unless they like dive in, get the newsletter, and actually read deep into it, because they put up so much news all the time, right? Like I get emails all the time from the VA.
Right.
But I don't dive into it because it's just so much information all the time. So there's no like deliberate focused program that like the masses can see. You know what I mean? At least from my experience, Travis.
Well, no, I think you're kind of right. Like some of the stuff that I'm into, it's very focused. And if I go outside that line, it is like it's like reading an encyclopedia every week of stuff going on in the VA. It's massive. So it can get really frustrating. Like, okay, it's just too long, didn't read. Next thing.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
So Stacey, you grow up with David, you get pulled into this. You have really personal experiences we discussed with Michael on Hellfish Haven. A lot of civilians ask me, how do I want to help? I feel compelled to help, but I'm not sure how I'm going to be accepted or if I'm going to have anything that veterans value. And I was hoping you'd take a couple minutes and kind of talk to us about how you as a civilian can interact with veterans like me and David and advocate for us sometimes when we really need a lifeline.
Yeah, just coming at things from a place of, care and wanting to be part of it. I don't think anybody's going to, ostracize or not welcome somebody into something. I get it. I think a lot of times people don't even ask me. People may just assume like nobody's even like, oh, I'm just there and I'm doing good things and I'm showing up and I'm helping, and people accept that. So I think just taking out that worry that you're not going to be accepted or people aren't going to want you involved if you're not a veteran, and just get out there and start doing ways that you can bring value and add something to the conversation.
And as you
Yeah,
go
Stacey
through,
does a great job at like being part of everything. Like Stacey's a hugger. She literally hugs everybody, right? So like everyone comes in, it's like, yep, there's Stacey, the redhead hugger.
yeah, David, Michael told me that. Michael told me, heck, hey man, if you get to meet Stacey, be prepared to be hugged, and you better hug her back. I'm like, what are you talking about, Mike? She's like,
hilarious.
she's a hugger, man. I'm like, okay, all right, we can make that work, but thanks for the intel. So he's not lying then, right, David?
Yeah, no, he's not lying.
He's not lying. Yeah.
All right.
That's kind of where I come into play. I'm like, hi, I'm Stacey, I identify as a hugger. But it's coming from the heart. I really just, when we bring people into 22 Mohawks, it's not like you're a volunteer or you just got a dog from us or you just came to the event. You're part of our family now. Like truly and honestly, I love everybody who comes in to work with us or do anything with us, whether they're a civilian, whether they're a veteran or first responder, whatever it is. And I think that people feel the sincerity and the love behind that. And they feel so welcome that they know in a time of need, they can call us and they're not going to be judged. We'll find them the help if we can't provide it. And we'll take care of them in any way that we can. And I think anybody that comes into our community knows that. So if there are any, civilians out there wanting to be more involved, it's like, every veteran has a civilian in their life, right? So it's like, and then it's like, can I provide value to those, to their significant others or their family members that their civilian may not understand certain things that they're going through, because even myself, until I got into this position, I didn't understand so much. And just hearing the same stories of, people in relationships, the same type of issues coming up, the same type of, problems with maybe a lack of affection or empathy, from the spouse or whatever it may be, but they're not understanding it. So when you can educate people on why things are a certain way, that can add so much value too,
It's great you brought up the family unit, because I feel sometimes for a lot of veterans, and they're not able to articulate to their spouses or even children, hey, this is what I'm feeling on Memorial Day when I think about my buddies who are gone. And it's hard for me sometimes to talk about, my experiences with people and have them understand. And I know it's frustrating to a wife, especially if she's trying to connect with her husband, for example. I'm not saying that, vice versa even, but it can be difficult for that person, and they want to be there, but they don't know how, and it causes problems. So how do you all help spouses get through that if you've ever gone through that before?
So we just, we just share real life experiences, right?
Yeah.
And ways that we can provide, similar situations that have happened. Any input before I was doing this too, I've taken many courses on like emotional intelligence, and I would teach women's groups and different things like that. So just really providing resources or real life tactics that people can put into place that can help with that, recognizing triggers, recognizing that it's not you guys against each other. It's, you guys got to work together. And when somebody can understand why they might not be, or, for instance, we have so many guys that have an issue connecting to their children, and they never talk about it. But then one person shares that story and they're like, that's exactly the way I feel too. So now not only are they hearing it from another person that's going through the same exact thing, they know it's not just them. And this isn't just a them problem. Many people are going through the same thing where they're, unable to get on the floor and play with their kids per se, right? They just can't get that connection, but they want to, they love their child, but they can't get that connection. But then they feel like a bad person because they're not able to do that. So they're not going to tell anybody that, because how are you going to just tell somebody that? You're not. But then to hear somebody else tell that story and feel that connection, like, hey, I'm not alone in that, is very valuable, I think. And then it gives them a better understanding too. So really that education piece is huge. And we have Dr. Kafori too on the staff who does coaching calls with anybody who needs it. So we've had spouses, she'll even talk to the spouses and stuff like that. So we set that up as well.
So just, as simple as possible, bringing people together in a place where they can share experiences makes you more powerful in your relationship in life. I'm looking at your website and I'm like, you're into, dogs, you're into parachuting. And I don't know, David, I mean, I think skydiving is cool. Make no mistake. I watched the, Point Break with, what's his name back in the day in the Marine Corps.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. I'm like, that looks
Yep.
pretty cool. But then, I'm like, why would I jump out of a perfectly good airplane? I mean, that's hard for me to get over mentally. I don't know why, because it looks really cool. But, talk about the skydiving aspect, because that's not really traditional when I think of stuff that vets do together. What's it like being a veteran who's like, this may or may not be a good idea for me. And you're going to put them in an airplane, attach them to somebody, and they jump out of it. I mean, what's going through their minds, man?
Well, I mean, you make a good point, right? Because you're like, why would I do that, right? Especially after being out of the service for like 10, 15 years, right? You're like, oh man, why am I going to tackle this obstacle? But then you're like, well, my brothers are doing it, my sisters are doing it. And then you jump, and then it literally like reinvigorates your entire life. Because you're like, oh, I just tackled this event that, I was fearful of, right? Which is a natural feeling when you're in the aircraft getting ready to jump out of it. And it changes you, right? It like almost dials you back in, so to speak. Like, hey, I'm doing this, like-minded people. It's like I'm back in service, like get ready to kick in that door. And it just changes you, changes your mind. It just, and it brings everybody together, right? Because you share that fear with other people, right? It's a solo jump that we do together, is what we say, right? We're jumping, we're hitting the door ourselves, but we're with our people again. And when you hit the ground and you're with your people, it's just like, all right, I'm back. No, there's no medication that can dial you in like an event like that.
Well, I mean, I've had some skydivers tell me, and buddies I've served with, who are like, it's kind of like you get on a motorcycle, Travis. The minute I step out of that airplane, I'm like, you don't step, you jump. Oh, he's like, okay, yeah. When I jump out of that aircraft, everything's okay. I have to be in the moment. Everything goes away, and it might be like 2 minutes, but I'm completely like good. And I'm like, you
Yeah,
gotta
I
try
think
it.
you're right. Yeah,
You gotta try it. I'm like,
yeah.
dude, you do your crazy thing, I'll do my crazy thing, and we're both good. How about that? I don't know. I do want to try it though, David. Stacey, have
So
you
you're
jumped before?
coming. So you're coming. That's what I'm hearing, Travis. You're coming.
I,
um,
I don't know. They got to make a chute big enough for me too. I don't know if I meet the weight requirement, but I'm a weightlifter, so you might have to get the dual chute out, or the one that's for the Humvees. I don't know. But have you jumped, Stacey?
I've done a tandem jump. So we have two jumps that we do. We do a tandem jump every the Sunday before Labor Day. And right now we're doing it in Connecticut. One jumps in Connecticut, one's in Mass, and we're doing a jump in Illinois. So eventually the wider picture is we want to have a jump on the same day in all 50 states for veteran and first responders suicide prevention. So that's large scale down the road. But so we do the tandem jump where you're strapped to somebody, and then we do twice a year, we go down to Denellen, Florida, and we do the Airborne Operations Course and Retreat, which is the static line jumps. But I've done one tandem, and I did it just so I could tell people I did it, and that was,
Now curious, how you started off here in Massachusetts, obviously. What's it been like kind of getting 22 Mohawks out in different parts of the country? Because there's veterans organizations everywhere now. So, I mean, you have to connect with people outside your AO, if you will, get them dialed in, get them bought in, and then actually execute the mission.
It's a combination of the dogs and the jump. So when we jump in Florida, we have veterans from all across the country who sign up to go. So when we connect with them in Florida, they take it back to their hometowns. Some of them have been so kind to basically create the dog program in their hometown. Like we have an arm in New Jersey, we have an arm in Illinois, and we're kind of spreading out. And that's just because of having the parachute jump. And these vets see, the impact of the dog program that we talked about when we're down there. But I remember I think the first dog we did outside of Massachusetts, other than Rhode Island, because Rhode Island is essentially like our sister state. The person I asked them, how did you hear about us? And they said, I went to a Wounded Warrior Project seminar, and the person who was speaking said, if you're looking for a dog that's not a service dog, you can reach out to 22 Mohawks, a Massachusetts-based place. And I thought that was very interesting that they heard it from Wounded Warrior Project. So all of our people who get dogs from us are word of mouth referrals, and it's really cool. We've grown it significantly because of the jump and the connections that we made on the jump. and then just doing the work here consistently in Massachusetts. Did that answer your question, Travis?
Yeah, it did. I mean, a lot of nonprofits want to stay in their lane. They don't want to share resources. They don't want to share information. They want to stay in their lane and, be in their lane. And I really feel that for a lot of them, they get kind of, stuck in reverse, if you will, because they don't open up. And from what
Yeah.
I'm hearing from you and what I heard from Stacey is there's this aspect of you're willing to, partner with people like, Michael Geary of Hellfish Haven and bring him into your organization and other people to go further together. And it's a very different mindset, David. I don't hear this a whole lot in what I do. And so it's so different that I'm just kind of digging into it.
You bring up a lot of good points, Travis. So one of our biggest events that we have is the BFIT Challenge. It's part of the Boston Bruins Foundation. They invited us in to do this event every year at the TD Garden, where we bring in teams and we climb all the stairs in the garden. It's basically one suicide prevention. There's other fundraisers there too going on, like for firefighters and police. But that event sells tables to other organizations to come in and participate in the event. Well, we've put up $30,000 every year to pay for local veteran nonprofits to come in and we ask for them to pay 12% towards that. So like if it's $3,000, they pay the 12%, which is like, $350. They come in and we cover everything else. But we do that to bring in other veteran orgs that may not have the resources to come up with the $3,000 to pay for the table. And then they can spread their word, they can grow. But then if they bring a team in and they raise money for us, how much ever money that they raise, we give it back. We give it back to them. So like, for instance, Stacey gave a check today to Scars and Stripes 1776 out of Massachusetts. It's a dirt biking company that a friend of ours put together from high school. And we gave them a check. They raised $300 basically, and we gave the money back to them. And, it's like, I think a lot of these nonprofits that start think that they're going to operate as a for-profit organization and like make all this money and become rich, but they're a nonprofit. So that doesn't mean that you can't make money and pay yourself, but it just means you have to operate in a different way. And it's by service to other people. We're not selling products, we're providing services. And I think a lot of these guys kind of get caught up in like, hey, I'm going to, be in the limelight, make all this money. And then like you said, Travis, they end up kind of losing their way and losing mission focus and having mission drift.
You all have a lot of stuff going on. It's really cool to see, again, David and Stacey, Michael, after we talked with you, Stacey, told me about what he had going on and how you all support him. And it's been really cool to see, Hellfish Haven and you all working together. I guess, as we go through this, my question is, what is next for you all? COVID's over, we're getting back to a normal, like being able to actually have group events and group things going on. There's a lot of veterans doing a lot of amazing stuff. What's next for you all?
Well, the big, hairy, audacious goal, like Stacey said, would have on Labor Day weekend in about 5 years, have every state do a parachuting jump for suicide awareness, suicide prevention, one. And then locally, we have to grow our mental health, mental fitness arm, where we, have a team of doctors and a team of QPR certified people to get into the communities and teach suicide prevention, which will entail basically starting with Massachusetts, because that's where our hometown is having the suicide rate be zero in that state. And if we can master zero suicides in Massachusetts, we'll take our framework and our mission set and bring it to other states to try to get every state to be on the same page as we are and get the suicides to zero. So that's where we want to go. Stacey, do you have anything you want to add to that?
Nope, I think he hit it on the nail. I also just wanted to say what you were saying before with not seeing a lot of other organizations kind of coming together. And, the bigger picture, the mission is suicide prevention, no matter how we do it, right? And we can't do it without bringing everybody in. Like Dave said, the people we just worked with, they're bikers. They do dirt biking. Michael Geary does gaming, right? These people, we need everybody to come together, because with that mindset of like not doing it together, you're not gonna, if you're in here to prevent suicide, you're not gonna be able to do it alone. You've got to bring other resources in. There's plenty to go around for everybody of the dollars or whatever is needed, right? But we need more people coming together truly, so just getting those resources out there is huge.
David, my last question to you, I wouldn't say critical, but how good has it been to have that experience serving in the Army and understanding, NCO officer leadership in general, and then being able to apply it to your personal professional life, but also 22 Mohawks? What's that been like for you?
It's vital. Honestly, like the things that I've learned in service have taught me resilience, taught me how to be strategic in my thinking, be strategic in my growth execution, in leading teams, any type of team, right? So like I can lead any group of military people, but when you're working with civilian people who have no military leadership, you have to have a lot of patience and a lot of understanding, because some of them just don't understand that style, which is okay. And it's good because we want that diversity inside our organization so we can grow. But without that, I probably wouldn't be where I am right now. So I'm grateful for the experiences that I've had in service.
Thank you very much, David. And I couldn't agree more. It's a different animal, the military veteran versus our civilian counterparts, and they try hard and they mean well, but sometimes you gotta be empathetic, which was something missing from my Marine Corps career. A whole lot I found out.
Yeah, 100%, Travis.
Right?
You're so true.
Right?
What is empathy?
Well, we're not. If it's
You guys
raining,
need a hug.
there we go. No, I don't
Yes.
think hugs. I don't think any of my leadership ever gave me a hug, ever. Not even when I got out. Yeah, I didn't get any hugs in the Marine Corps, Stacey. That's what it was.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you're a leader, Stacey. You're a CEO of this nonprofit. You've helped your high school friend out. How has this changed your life and fueled your purpose?
Oh, I had no idea what I was getting into when I got it. I had no idea. I had no idea. But it's truly my passion. Before, like I said, before I joined Dave and doing this, I ran some women's group on self-worth during COVID. I've done a lot of stuff for children. I love kids. Stuff about emotional intelligence, right? So these type of things, like helping people, just doing events, things like that, was something I was really passionate about. But being able to give back and learning so much about the veteran and first responder communities, and being able to bring these people in and have them be like my family now. And the fact that I know we are undoubtedly saving lives, and that's not to be taken lightly. We have people that come to us on a regular basis, and because of what we do, it has saved their life. And there's, Dave says this, there's no amount of money, title, or anything that can compare to that feeling of knowing that you've just given somebody the opportunity to take their life back and live with purpose and continue to give back. And then these people that are finding that value in us are able to give back to their community, to their family, to their kids, whatever it may be. So it's a ripple effect. And I'm just so grateful to be able to be in here and doing this work. Yeah.
Speaking of people coming together, how can people connect with 22 Mohawks, with you all, and get involved in the mission, or seek assistance or help if they need it?
Everything's on our website. You can go to our website, 22mohawks.com. So 22mohawks.com with an S. And on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, we're all on there. All of our information's at the bottom of the website. You can fill out the forms for applying for a dog is under our Pups for Vets link. All the events are listed on the website. So everything's pretty transparent. And like I said, Dave and I's number is on the website. People can reach out to us anytime if they need anything.
And I'll have the link to your website in the Oscar Mike Radio show post, along with the social media links. Again, Michael talks so effusively about how you all, helped him, and he was able to take what he did and augment what you do. And it was a really cool story. It was a very cool time on We Are Resilient, Stacey. And I want to have more of a local flair, local feel for year 8, kicking it off. And I just want to thank you both for coming on and sharing so openly and candidly with me.
Thank you, Travis.
Thank you. We appreciate being on.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. So again, you've got two sides of the same coin. You have the civilian perspective, you have the military veteran perspective about starting a nonprofit, serving veterans where they are, and then taking that message out to other places, even across the nation. I want to thank Michael again for the introduction. David and Stacey, all the best to you. And I'm not saying I'm going to jump Stacey. I will give you a hug, but at least come out and check it out, David. That's my problem. I'll
You
come out
have
and
to
check
give
out
her a
the-
hug, Travis. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll give you a hug and I'll come out and check out the jump. I'm not saying I will jump, but I'll come and check it out at least. How about that?
Awesome. We'll take that as a
That's
warm
great.
warm intro.
All right. All right. Hey, this is Travis Oscar Mike Radio. We are Mission Flight. Thank you very much. We'll see you next time.
Remember on it teaches our mission. We care about it and we do it every day. But I think there are things that just hit you and give you a reason to go on. The theme for our 2024 for Reach Across America is Live with Purpose. It just seemed to fit in with the vows of the REAP, the 10 attributes that we feel represent our United States military. I thought, what a great opportunity to put those two things together and show our kids through how we act some of the things that can make their lives better, their communities better, and by doing that, the country better. For me, Live with Purpose, I think, it's a mindset. Set some guidelines and then go out and purposefully make life different, make a change. It's an opportunity to set an example.
Thank you for listening and watching Oscar Mike Radio, where our active duty service members and veterans are in action and the mission is in flight. Oscar Mike Radio is an oversized load Co-Sinister One production. If you are a veteran or know a veteran who needs help, please dial 988 and press 1 for the Veterans Crisis Line.